The next presenter I'm very happy to announce and to invite is Ignas Valančius. He's a data and technology transformation service line lead from IBM, and his presentation will exactly be about artificial intelligence and business. Why and how should business leaders care about ethics in AI? So Ignas, the year is yours.
Thank you, and let me share my screen. I hope you can see it clearly. Yeah, so I would like to talk about and share some light why and how anyone in the business world should think and care about AI and their ethics. It's one of the main messages I want to share with everyone is that it's not only that IT guys should think about it and take care of. You know, whenever we see lawyers start talking about the data and AI, it already gives a good sign. So if we look around the world, around more than 70% of companies are exploring or already deployed or deploying AI. We can see that different countries has different adoption rates, and we can relate what was just presented about the regulations and where we don't see any regulations. So that's a different question, how it will evolve during the time and what consequences it has in the future. Focusing and being in Europe, we of course will look what's applicable mainly for us. If we look across different industries, different businesses, it's on average, there is at least one process that utilizes AI in more than 40 cases. So there are many details, but manufacturing, quality control, and financial services, you'll have all the fraud detection, customer care, and other ways where AI is implemented, pharma, transport, it's everywhere. And even the recent events, we can see that information technology is being used as a tool to prevent some really bad things happening. And when it comes to our daily work as a business leaders, some of the cases you already saw mentioned in the very first presentation, like Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, there are a big concerns raising about the brand reputation. And AI and the way the brands, the companies are utilizing it can be impacted. And can be impacted really badly. We remember Dieselgate. Many people can say it doesn't have anything to do with AI. It's a car, it's a diesel, and it's nothing else. Yeah, but if you look at the heart, how it was done, it's still AI. You can argue: is it really AI? Is it modern or not modern? Is it simple? Still can be called AI, and it costs a lot to this company, and it still has consequences if you look into that. So this is exactly the reason why we should think and why we should care, because it will impact business reputation. We already saw the presentation about the increased regulations. The complexity of AI deployments is increasing daily, and it's getting more and more complex, and it's getting more and more sometimes harder to explain why one or another decision was made, what impact it will have. And we see a huge raising focus on the social justice. And the bias, from gender perspective, from your nationality, your education, I think it can be really impacted by AI and impacted really heavily. Looking into the regulations, these are the steps happening across the globe. The most interesting for us is, of course, European Union draft regulation for trust in AI. Other countries making these steps as well. And some can say, and I'm talking with many startups and other companies, it's still a distant future. Maybe yes, maybe no. It might be still, a draft regulation. It will come. And if you base your business on some not necessarily fully ethical algorithms, not necessarily fully ethical use of the data, you might have a challenge in future. And that challenge might be, everybody perfectly knows GDPR. It might be up to 60% of your global revenue. So this is really a substantial amount and could be really something that can destroy your business. And that's why we need to spread the message, spread the knowledge that AI is not only for the IT guys, it's not only for the IT companies. And even you don't need to understand all the technical details behind, because if you look how the AI principles of ethics and all the other related things are measured across the globe, this is a tremendous amount of ways to look at. Some of these are really simple to understand. Some of these goes really into deep technical details. And this diagram, this is something that makes many people, no, this is too complex. This is, requires a separate degree to understand that. And we see that different companies, different private sector and governmental organizations has different regulations or focus on different areas. It indicates that it's still developing. It will change. It will, put focus on one areas. Maybe some areas will lose the focus. It's still evolving. And it still might be hard to follow and understand and know each and every update. But let me show you this picture. And there was a really wide research made by MIT where million of people were asked. So assume this is a self-driving car, which is fully loaded of AI, and you have this situation. Of course, people will start saying, can it go to the woods or, just brake? But you don't have any other choice. This might happen in the real world, A or B. And this question, is being asked to different people. What's the answer? It depends where are you from. And there is no one single answer that would be treated as right in one country or in another. If you are from Asia, Japan, South Korea, there will be definitely one answer. If you are from the Europe, you might get totally different answer. If you are from South America, again, might be different situation. Even in Europe, there are different proportions of the answers, depending really on the culture. Are you more from north or south and other things? So what it really highlights that it's not only that IT people should think about AI, how it should work, why it should work, because if only IT people will think about that, it will be really biased. And it will be biased because certain type of people with certain knowledge will make decisions that might impact our overall population. That's why there are a number of things, and there are a number of things that easy to start with, how you can, within your company, within your business, within your organization, is it profit or non-profit, whatever. The very first step you can do is to get the person responsible for AI ethics. This person can spend half an hour per week, per month, just to read about what's new in AI ethics regulations, what's new in the world, what's happening there. So there is someone just to start thinking about ethics and AI. The number two you can do is to ensure that your teams are diverse. This is a naturally spread the ethical question. It naturally raises the questions and naturally expand the number of opinions, the number of insights, the number of points of view that team brings to the solution. Then it was based on a number of papers, scientific paper, it was proved that documentation and policy reminders are the most effective tools to remind about the ethics within your company. It might somebody, from corporate world sound yet another reminder. Nobody will, read or think it, and it might be the case, but still it will raise the awareness. It will not allow people to forget this, have I thought about that? Is it something I should think of, etc., etc. If you are sure that your company, your organization has these things, you can take the next step. And the next step is there is a tool, oversight toolkit for boards of directors, designed by World Economic Forum, which covers the key aspects and explains not only ethics of AI, but all the risks and other related things to the modern world, to the modern technologies for these business leaders. And it allows to have this understanding and allows to be part and be aware when making business decisions that might impact the future of your company. European Commission has developed Altai checklist. This is going into a more technical level, and most probably will be used by the technical teams. And it's still, a number of people might say, it's still an early stage. It's not a perfect tool. It's a very, very great starting point, which raises number of concerns and which force you to think about your solution, about your company, about the things you do from different angles. And the last one would be a social license. We are now already familiar with all the eco labels when you buy the bread or milk, or cacao, that it is from the well-trusted sources. The future is going to be that we will start looking for something similar at the technology level too, and the AI, and we will want to use the products and tools that we trust, and we know that they are not using our data in the wrong way, and they are not interpreting that in the wrong way. The last is going to the more technical level, and I just wanted to highlight that there are already a number of tools, open source tools, that help you to start digging deeper, educate, and document and do a number of things to be prepared and be ready for European Union regulations and take care of your customers and of your product. Thanks a lot for your attention, and thanks a lot for your time. I hope at least one thing was interesting for you on this presentation.
Thank you, Ignas, for really interesting presentation. And I do have one question from my side. As far as I understand, there are at least 4 or even more variables which may impact the results of the AI application in ethical or unethical way. Even having the perfectly fine and sober data set, even having a perfectly fine and pre-certified AI method, and having good application context, still, even all these variables in place may yield the results which are unethical, because there is the receiver or recipient, right, which is still subjectively, to some extent, analyzing or subjectively interpreting the results, which in theory might or are ethical. So my question is, maybe the business trend. Is the trend that the AI is more or less outlawed for some kind of contexts or for some kind of applications where everyone understands the results may yield sensitive, so to say, results for the human being, such as, for example, employment, enrollment? Or do you think that the other direction is more correct, which is to rectify on spot via the feedback loops and to rectify the consequences so that they are more and more ethical, so to say? What is your view on that?
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, and my message is that more and more people needs to start thinking and asking these questions. Because in many cases, as an end consumers, whenever you open a web page, you just accept all the terms and conditions, and you want to get faster, use the service, and they get the value you want from it. And it's a big question: is everything you accept be ethical from your perspective? So that's a big question, and that's why we need to raise awareness and to be more educated in this space. Now, is there a trend? Is there some one line? Honestly, I don't know. It really depends on the company. What I can mention as the real life examples for sure is IBM, the company I work at, has stopped any services for facial recognition because it brings a big potential exactly for the case you just defeat and other things. So if not today, in my opinion, it will come for sure.
Terrific. Thank you once again for interesting points and interesting insights.